So as Didi mentioned, I'm Michael Loussinian. I'm a SARA California board member, graduated from Cal Poly, and I currently run a small design practice alongside, doing AI education and consulting for implementation. I'm really excited to share, how you could use the information provided from ArkDesign.AI to, to get really useful outputs as far as visual representation. So if you see over here, I have the same 3D model that Olympia just modeled for us in that quick demo, and it's still crazy to me how quickly you could put these things together now. And what I've prepared for everyone and what I'm going to demonstrate today is a skill file. And a skill file is a fancy way of saying, a prompt with necessary steps built in that you could drop into uh, either your ChatGPT, Claude Code, Gemini, Codex in a universal environment where you generate images and use that for with some certain inputs from Google Maps to create a representation of the Arc design model on the actual property site. So a brief overview of the three steps of this file are shown here, and I'm going to share this with everyone at the end. And I'll just walk you through how simply this could work without any prompting required and just gathering a simple handful of input images and let the AI do the rest for you. So when it comes to the skill file itself, it's an empty file. All you have to do is drop that into whatever AI you're using. And long story short, what that explains is to the AI is that we're taking this Arc Design PDF that we exported for the Jerome Avenue site, alongside some images and inputs from Google Maps, Google Earth Aerial, and the 3D model. And it's going to use all of those inputs to create a representation for us. And you'll see alongside the way the AI will ask us a couple questions about our material preferences and our style output preferences. And from there, it would have enough to generate the photo for us. So I'll go and show you guys just how simply this could be done. So to start off, I'll just go into a new chat, and as I mentioned, this is adaptive. So if you put it in Gemini, it'll use Gemini's image model. If you put it in GPT, it'll use GPT's image model. And the instructions make it clear for the AI to know where it's working out of. So coming into the file itself, give me one moment. All I have to do to get this going is open up the drive file where I've contained the sample for you guys. And this is the folder that I'll be sharing. It's called the Arc NYC image. And this contains all the assets that you would need to run this. So to start off, all I would do is drop in the skill file along with the start here to give the AI model context on what it should understand. So before dropping in any other items, I'll just say I want to run this skill on GPT browser. I'll have a shareable drive link, and then once you open that link, you could automatically download in there.
Great, thank
So
you.
thanks for pointing that out. Everyone could see the screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, all I did so far was I just opened a new chat. I dropped in the skill file and the start here PDF to give it context on what the job it's going to do. You'll notice in a moment it's going to come back to me and says it's going to need a few other images to generate the image, and I'll show you exactly um, what we're going to be inputting in there. So going back to the few files, first we have an overview of the site, that explains the parcel and the shape. Then we're additionally going to include, a few images that I've taken from Google Maps. We have some street views over here. We additionally have, a 3D snapshot of the massing, an aerial view on Google Maps, um, and a site plan view with an outline of the parcel. And to start off, I just gathered this information myself. to use as input. And, it only took me a few minutes to go on Google Maps and collect what I needed. So now going back to ChatGPT, you see it understands that, it needs a few more information to process the request. So now all we have to do from this point on is get all the inputs that we have, those files that, included the photos, the massing, the PDF export, and just drop those into the model here, which give me one moment. Let me do that one more time. So yeah, once you drop those in there, from there it's going to be able to handle the request for you. We'll get all of those files, put those in, and then we'll say something like use Arc NYC image on these files. And you can notice that, I didn't have to prompt any explanation of, this is what the massing is. We're trying to create a rendering on the site. It just all baked into the file in itself so that it knows the clear instructions. And then right now it's going to go ahead and review the images. The only other item it's going to come back with is going to come back with a list of some material options listed 1 through 3 and some style options listed ABC. And I just have to provide a response that either says like 3A, 3B, 1B that indicates this is the material I want, this is the style I want. And from there, it would have enough context to place this massing that Olympia created in ArkDesign.AI and put that on the real site context with the Google aerial view. And I do want to just mention one other caveat to this. If there was one additional image I would like to input in here, you'll notice that from the images I've provided, there's not much clear indication of where the building footprint sits on the property line. So if there's one other image I would like to provide, it would be, showing the building footprint on the lot or showing the property lines around outlined around the massing itself. But yeah, as mentioned, it reviewed all the files and see we have material direction and image styles. So for material direction, based on the context and the site, it provided its own suggestions based on what materials it believes are the best fit. So we got a Bronx brick framework, terracotta transland bark, industrial masonry grid. So for this one, we'll go with one. And then image style, if we want a realistic, a watercolor, a pencil, or a graphic competition board, maybe for this one, we'll go with a watercolor. And that's all I have to send at this point. So just with, dropping in the skill file, the Google Maps photos, and, indicating my decision as 1B of the style and the material, this will give it this skill enough to operate, its generation. So now in a few moments, we're just going to get a image that's outputted by the GPT image model, showing the property itself. And the cool part about these skill files while we're waiting for this to generate is, right now this is, it has the instructions to generate the image, but if you wanted to take a step farther and, maybe add some more integration, if you built on this skill, you could actually train it so that the Google Street View photos, the Google aerial photos, the site context gets all scraped by the AI itself. So at some point, you don't even need to go and screenshot those yourself, and it'll make that whole process autonomous.
Michael, you even
And
spoke about the JSON that you could put the JSON in the ARC file and then get.
yeah, this was an interesting thing. So yesterday I was trying to access, the ArkDesign 3D model that Olympia had prepared, and they had sent me the JSON file of it, but I still didn't have necessarily the full login to open it in ArkDesign.AI. So I was looking for ways to still view the model in 3D to take my screenshots of it. So interestingly enough, I just asked Codex to take the JSON file and create, a local 3D app that allows me to view the massing of the model. And sure enough, within a few minutes,
Nice.
it launched a mini app on my laptop or my computer that, allowed me to view the model itself. Uh, so you could see here we got one that's, a little bit there, a little bit off, but it's at the street corner view of Jerome and Shakespeare, following as much as it can the roof lines of the building. The reason that I mentioned earlier, having the footprint or the massing around the property lines is that so the model doesn't hallucinate where to place the building itself on the property. But nonetheless, it still kept the context buildings around it, the street sizes, placed the materials we had selected, and kept the context in itself. And I'll show you a few more outputs of like, when I ran it earlier. So we had this one here too. And, maybe earlier on last night when I was trying this as well, um, we had gotten these ones over here. And this one is more so in the realistic style rather than the rendering. And I would say, yeah, just to emphasize one more time, the only reason there is a slight misalignment is because we're lacking one image that shows the footprint on the property itself. If you add that one last input, then the skill will know how to identify that and place the orientation a bit more properly. But nonetheless, the massing, the shape, the roof, and all the items from the model uh, remain pretty true to what was generated in ArkDesign AI.